There is hardly anyone in the world who hasn't heard of Starbucks. Today, when we look at it, we see a massive coffee brand. But the story of its former CEO, Howard Schultz, did not begin easily at all. In fact, most people don't even know how difficult a life he came from. We're talking about someone who grew up in poverty, struggled to make ends meet, and at times had to sell his blood just to survive. This is the true story of a boy who never gave up on his dreams, and maybe the answer to why you shouldn't give up either. Howard was born into a very poor family. His childhood was spent in a tiny one-room home. His father was both an Army veteran and a truck driver who worked low-paying jobs his entire life. When Howard was just 7 years old, his father slipped on ice while delivering diapers and broke his leg. At that time, there was no health insurance and no savings. As a result, his father lost his job, and the family fell into serious financial hardship. One of the images that stayed with Howard the most was seeing his father lying helplessly on the couch at home. Watching a man who felt hopeless and defeated was very heavy for a young child. But perhaps that was exactly what sparked the desire for change within him. To escape all these problems, he would sit on the stairs of their apartment building, think for long periods of time, and dream. He wanted to believe that a better life was possible. In high school, he earned a college scholarship by playing football, but his heart wasn't in sports. He decided to study communications instead. To afford college, he took out student loans, worked different jobs, and at times struggled so much to survive that he even sold his blood. After graduating from college, he worked at a ski resort and in sales. But in the back of his mind, there was always Starbucks. In those years, Starbucks was nothing like it is today. It was just a small company that sold coffee beans. At the age of 29, he spent an entire year trying to convince the company's owners, and eventually he was hired. During a business trip to Italy, he had an experience that would change his life. When he walked into a small Italian coffee shop, he realized that people weren't just drinking coffee. There was a connection. Shop owners knew their customers, called them by name, and coffee became more than a beverage. It became an experience. Howard fell in love with this idea. When he returned to America, he explained that Starbucks should become a place like that. But his ideas were rejected. No one else could see what he saw. At this point, most people would have given up. But he didn't. He left Starbucks and founded his own coffee company, Il Giornale. The biggest problem, however, was money. He spoke to 242 people to find investors, and 217 of them said, no. Just imagine. Being rejected over and over again, having people not believe in you. It was a process that could truly break someone, but he kept going. Eventually, a few people believed in his vision and invested. When he opened his first coffee shop, his goal was clear: to create a place where people would feel special. He wanted to bring the warm coffee culture he had seen in Italy to America. Years later, when Starbucks went through a difficult period and went bankrupt, Howard bought the company. He became CEO and rebuilt the Starbucks he had envisioned. He renewed the company from top to bottom, expanded the brand, and in a short time, it spread all across America. Today, Starbucks has more than 30,000 stores worldwide and is valued at over $100 billion. But perhaps the most important part of this story is the message Howard gives. In life, you can blame many people and feel sorry for yourself. Or you can stand up and take responsibility. Most people attribute success to luck, but in reality, it's about seeing the opportunity and taking action. It's about seeing what others cannot see and pursuing that idea. He says, there is no magical formula for success. Waiting for the perfect plan only keeps you standing still. But if you make a decision today and take the first step, you can achieve far more than you ever imagined. Remember, 1 year from now, you might look back and say, I wish I had started today. So what about you? When will you begin your own story?